Pregnant the first time, I wasn't even old enough to drink, but I drank anyway. A fifth of rum, a pint of wildberry vodka, and 8 beers. I was still drunk when I drove home at noon the next day. I probably should have gotten alcohol poisoning, but instead I had a human zygote waiting to implant in my uterine lining. The second time I got pregnant, I had been injecting myself with thousands of dollars worth of hormones for over a month. My room overflowed with vials and syringes, multiple sharps containers. The fertility doctor was able to harvest 16 eggs. I was just hoping for one baby. But even with 16 eggs, there are no guarantees. When I found out I was pregnant, that first time I was supposed to be celebrating a friend's 21st birthday. That party I had decided was the time to finally slough off the remaining vestiges of my Utah Mormon upbringing. I would finally try drugs aside from alcohol, nicotine, and self-loathing. I would finally say yes to anything that was offered me, but my period was just a little bit late. So I decided to check, just in case. I peed on a stick in the grocery store bathroom, and before I could read the instructions to find out how long I had to wait for the result, it was there. A thick, dark, pink line. I skipped that party. That night, my friends discovered crystal meth. My designated driver got a DUI. Getting knocked up probably saved my life. Years later, I would pee on countless pregnancy tests in the comfort of my own bathroom and never see that telltale pink line. I switched to ovulation sticks, and every month I would wait and wait for that pink line, but it never came. We started IVF in late 2012. The doctor injected each of my 16 eggs with a single sperm, and only half of them fertilized. 2 days later, there were only 5 still viable. We transferred the 2 best quality embryos and hoped for implantation. I was standing in line at Starbucks when the clinic called to tell me I was pregnant. My husband and I drove to get an ultrasound to confirm, and it was there we saw the heartbeats. Yes, I said heartbeats. There were 2. Planned Parenthood confirmed my first pregnancy. They gave me information on prenatal assistance for unwed teenage mothers. They gave me a listing of all the local adoption agencies. They gave me a brochure with the state of Utah's abortion guidelines and sent me home. And on that long drive home, I contemplated telling my Mormon parents, seeing the disappointment in my friends and family, and in that moment, I wanted nothing more than for a drunk driver to hit me head on. Just hard enough to deploy the airbag, just hard enough to remove the burden of choice from my hands. When I got home, I made an appointment with my OB. They said they could see me when I was 8 weeks along. So for the next 4 weeks, I went to bed every night and prayed for blood. But it never came. When I was 7 weeks pregnant with twins, I awoke at 2 in the morning, immediately aware that my thighs were slick with blood. I crossed the hall into the bathroom, blood flowing down my legs, leaving a trail behind me. And as I sat on the toilet, I felt my uterus spasm. I felt clots of blood fall out of me, and I sobbed. Eventually, I made my way across the hall. I touched my husband's foot to wake him. I think I've lost them. There's just so much blood. And on that long drive to the fertility clinic, I thought of my 16 eggs become 5 embryos, become 2 embryos implanted. I thought of my first pregnancy and wondered, what if? What if I only get one baby and I gave him away? We arrived at the fertility clinic and they rushed us back for an ultrasound. And as the doctor searched for signs of life, I held my husband's hand, I bit my lip, I held back tears. 2 heartbeats, still going strong, she said, and turned the screen so I could see for myself, not that I could see anything through the tears and the laughter. When my son was born, I stayed awake for nearly 72 hours straight. I held him in every moment. I took enough photos to fill 5 or 6 rolls of film. I gave him the middle name Andrew, a name that has been given to the firstborn sons of the firstborn sons in my family for generations, even though I was the firstborn daughter, even though his adoptive parents would change it. I gave him the middle name Andrew. It was his birthright. When my twins were born, I fell asleep immediately. I held them, but I was happy to let others hold them. I think I took less than a dozen photos. I gave them the middle name Lee, a name that has been given to the daughters in my family for generations, a name that they share with me, my sisters, my mother, my aunt, my cousins, their cousin. I gave them the middle name Lee. It is our shared birthright. 15 years to the day after I placed my 3-day-old son for adoption, I took my 3-day-old twins home. They were born on his 15th birthday. On his first birthday, I spent every last penny I had on books for him. It was the only birthday gift I would be allowed to send, so I tried to cover the bases. Maurice Sendak to Edgar Allan Poe, Ursula Le Guin to Toni Morrison. I gave him my heart hardbound, and inside the cover, I wrote a note explaining why I had chosen this book for him, and signed it, all my love, Mama Liz. For my twins' first birthday, we were supposed to have a barbecue, but they got hand, foot, and mouth, so it had to be canceled. I had spent every last penny I had on diapers, so there were no gifts. About a week later, my sister came by with cupcakes, so we sang and called it good. As a stay-at-home mom, I am in the trenches with them every single day. It is exhausting. It is overwhelming. They never stop reaching for me. They never stop calling for me. But I will never forget how long I waited for them. And I will always be there. I'm Mommy. My son Corey, that's his name now, Corey, he turns 18 next month. Corey, if you can hear me, call for me, reach for me, I will never stop waiting for you. I will always be here. I'm Mama Liz.